Today we're talking about the 5 types of people INFJs cannot stand. And when you look at that list, you might say, doesn't everybody dislike this type of person? And the answer is not really. Very often other people might have some kind of problem with them, or it's something that bothers them, but they still accept it. When it comes to the INFJ, these 5 types of people are unacceptable. We're going to have a strong reaction towards them, and this comes really down to how we see the world and how we see people in general. Before we get started, I want to remind you the next INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp round launches May 6th, so make sure you're on that waiting list to get access to the early bird price and get notified once we go live. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Number 1, and this might seem very obvious, the bully. But let me tell you this. I've been in so many situations where bullies have been present, even in, now adulthood, at work, at, gatherings and so on. And other people seem to just quiet down. They see there is a bully there, they're bullying somebody else, and everybody pretty much either stays quiet or they even laugh at that situation. Not the INFJ. This is something the INFJ has such a strong opinion about. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that we ourselves have been bullied so often when we were kids because we're different, because, particularly when we're younger, it is more obvious because we cannot really hide. We haven't really learned how to pretend to be somebody else. But with time, we have built the confidence to know, well, this is who I am. And because we've had so much experience with bullies, we really cannot stand it. And if we see somebody else getting bullied, that's the moment when the INFJ really has an opinion about it. They step out, they become this mama or papa bear kind of person. They protect the other one and really make it known that the bully is a weak person in that moment, and that is something that is unacceptable and that we cannot stand at all. Number 2, the person who needs a following. And a following, I really even mean in everyday life. There are people who need to have other people around them who look up to this one person, who see them as a leader, as somebody who says what will get done and how things are going to be. This is something INFJs cannot really stand because we ourselves are so independent. We don't want to be followers, and we don't need people following what we're saying. We want every single person to be independent, to have their own opinions, make their own choices, and this is what feels most natural to us. So when we see a person who has to have people who have some kind of insecurity, around them in order to look up to that person, and that person needs the validation constantly from those people, this is something we see as such a red flag. We see it as so weak and, so uninteresting that those kind of people we just cannot stand. There's no way we would ever want to be friends with somebody like that, and we actually don't really see that person as somebody that we could take seriously. Number 3, the person who needs to live by rules. This, again, is something that is all based on the fact that we're so independent. So many people live by the rules that society sets for them. Some of those rules are written down, but most of them are just unconsciously known, as in, okay, I need to behave a certain way in order to be accepted by society. I need to play my role. I need to worship certain people or, dislike others. I need to find my place within that system. And that runs counter to everything the INFJ is all about. The INFJ lives outside of the box. The INFJ does not believe that we have to play by certain rules. And on top of that, we don't feel the necessity to it. So it might be a little harsh to say INFJs dislike or cannot stand people who live by society's rules, when first off, most people do that, and second of all, most people feel obligated to do that. But the fact is that those people who feel like they need to live by those rules, they also demand of you to play by those rules. And they also demand those things of people who just don't fit into the mold. And if you have such a high expectation of yourself to fit into the rules, you're going to have it just as harshly towards others. So that's when people become mean or condescending, or just not kind towards people who just seem to be different than the majority. And again, because this is something that we've experienced for so long, we have a problem with people who cannot accept us being different. Even when we have actually accepted that and we're okay with that, we have a problem when we see others being treated this way that may have not gotten to a place where they feel confident enough to walk their own path. Person number 4, the superficial person. So what is a superficial person? A person who is really all about, doing things for the ego. So we're talking about, I'm getting a lot of money in order to impress others. I'm getting like some kind of fancy clothes in order to have people look up to me. I'm trying to make others feel bad or worse than me because I have something they don't. A lot of that really comes down to feeding the ego. And it's something that people do more often when they're younger. Most people actually start growing out of it the older they get. And so this is something that we as INFJs experience even more so in our younger years because we kind of seem to have skipped that step like right away. We're already at the point where we know all of these things are just feeding the ego and it's not reality. It's not the truth. So let's be truthful and let's be honest with each other and let's talk about what's really going on and to value one another for who we are and how we act towards one another, right? But most people don't learn this until a later time in life. And so this is always something that's going to lead to some kind of clash because we try to connect with that person on a human level and the other person is just trying to maintain their power or their position. And so this leads to a lot of confrontation between an INFJ and other people. It probably will even lead to other people actually having a problem with the INFJ more than the INFJ has a problem with them because we just say, okay, that's not my kind of person. They're all about their ego, they're superficial, they're not evolved. Okay, I'm going to go my own way. But you'll see that those kind of people will see that you know what's going on underneath and therefore will go towards you, will try to break you and so on. And that as a result leads to INFJ really disliking these kind of people and having a problem with them because they just don't leave us alone. We're totally fine with people going their own pace and, learning about themselves in their time. But it very often leads to them having a problem with us because we can see behind the facade. Person number 5, the person with low moral values. This is something that I've experienced with a lot of INFJs. We can be really kind to somebody. We can accept people for having their own opinions. We can really see how they see it from their own perspective, although it might be a different perspective than our own. But when it really comes down to breaking our own moral codes, we cannot stand that. We really lose respect for people quickly once we understand that they don't have high moral values. Moral values are, of course, in some kind of way subjective, but there are things that are really dear to us and that we find, weak or, just not something that we're okay with or that we could value. Those are not the kind of people we can surround ourselves with. Even if we have respect for them for their accomplishments or for other things they've done well, if they actually turn out to have weak moral values and things that are important to us, then this is not something we can accept and we actually stop caring about that person altogether. So you might ask yourself, okay, if these are the kind of people the INFJ cannot stand, doesn't that mean the INFJ will just be alone? Or they have to hang out with other INFJs and that's it? That's not the case at all. There are enough people who not only accept you the way you are, but that actually make sense in your life. We just have to decide how many of them we want in our life. We have to decide, what people we need in our life on a specific distance, psychologically speaking. Some people can be great acquaintances. Others can be great friends for, having fun moments. Others are the ones that, you stay really close with over the years. And what I've learned over the years is that INFJs tend to look out for this one person, like this one best friend or this one partnership. When in the end, it's all about finding a holistic system and a holistic set of friends, acquaintances, relationships that together make us feel complete and whole. So don't feel like you have to accept everybody. You also don't have to feel like, oh, I'm going to put everything and all my hopes into this one person, but understand that you can get all of your needs met by different sets of relationships and different sets of dynamics, as long as you make it clear that there are certain things about you that are not negotiable. Make your moral values clear. Make it clear that you're not about the ego. Make it clear that you don't like superficial things. Make it clear that, this is who I am and I cannot stand bullies. I'm not about following some kind of trend. I'm doing my own thing. This is who I am. And the more open you are about that, the more you're going to attract people who actually make sense in your life. One way or another, they can decide pretty much at what distance they stay, in your life because you have made it known who you are. And other people who don't fit in that criteria at all, they just go about their way. What so many INFJs do so often is that we make all of those decisions for the people around us. So we say, oh, that person isn't going to like that part of me, so I'm going to keep it hidden. Or in order to make that person comfortable, I have to lean into that side of mine. All of those things always lead to us never feeling connected because we're not really sharing our truth with people. But if you start from a perspective of, this is who I am, take it or leave it, it will be hard in the beginning, but you will find your tribe and it will be so worthwhile. Make sure to join the waiting list for the next INFJ Epic Life Bootcamp. Hundreds of INFJs have gone through bootcamp so far and have had amazing results, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what you can achieve. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on the 5 times the INFJ is forced to door slam.